Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Business Breakthroughs. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, Andrew Honigsfeld and Michael Millay. How about that, gentlemen?
Woohoo! Got it first.
Yeah, marquee. Andrew's marquee on that one. I love it. It felt different saying it that way, too.
More powerful. I get it.
I'll keep you on your toes. Well, listen, last time we talked about one of the things that came up in our last episode, which was awesome, by the way, you guys need to go back and listen to that, was we mentioned the law of attraction. And sometimes when you are preparing to go somewhere in business, a lot of times the breakdown, this is about business breakthroughs, and sometimes the breakdown in business is that we're too afraid to confront what could not work. And so we're always trying to stay in the positive mind. And I think some of that has come from cultural phenomena like the Secret or the law of attraction, right? Yeah. Where everybody's like, oh, we got to be positive. We got to say affirmations. And so I can't entertain what could go wrong because that could put bad juju in my business plan.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Ironically, that's not what they even say inside of those things. It's what people have made them mean in order to not deal with their own shortcomings, let's say.
Tell me about that. What do you mean? Expand on that.
So like in the law of attraction, Secret, and everything, they talk about focusing on the positive.
Right.
But nowhere in it does it ever say look away from the things that might not work.
Yep. Yeah, and part of that is like, when you're doing a business plan, right? What do you plan for? You plan for everything. Mm-hmm. Everything that could go right and everything that could go wrong. That's why you have a plan. That's separate from like, I don't stand in, when I'm making a business plan, I don't stand in like, okay, Michael, so this year, if it can go wrong, it will. Now, how does that get? It's not how we create it. That's not what it is. But we say, what do we want? How do we want the world to show up? And we sort of create what this year looks like from there.
What are some potential barriers?
Yeah. And then we say, so what are some potential barriers from having this eloquent plan we have work?
I think the problem with, go ahead.
Well, that's just what it's important. Without that piece, without the what could go wrong piece, you're really just hoping everything works out and that everything goes well. And if it doesn't, then you're dead in the water and you don't know what happened.
Also, can I add something else about the law of attraction?
Yeah.
So if you're only focusing on the positive, how do you say no to the things that you're attracting that aren't what you want?
Right.
Because
what?
So a really easy place to look is dating or marriage or significant, whatever it is. I don't, doesn't really matter.
Yep.
You can be attracting a lot of people, but if they're not the people you want, even though they might have some of the qualities, are you going to say yes to everyone just because you attracted them?
Right.
And it's like, that's the breakdown in the law of attraction, or not the breakdown in the law of attraction per se, but breakdown inside of how most people utilize this tool or structure.
Right. Yeah.
Not understanding the mindset of, in order to get what you want, you have to actually say no to the things that you don't want.
Yeah.
And so you can look for the opportunity inside of all of it, but if it doesn't work for you, don't try and force it into working.
Right.
Say no and move on.
Yeah. That's also like a really good business plan or a really good mission statement, right? It's very clear on what your company is going to do. And why it's so clear is because anything that's not that, your company's not going to do. Even if it's a money-making opportunity, it's not a money-making opportunity for your company.
I think the challenge people have, though, with that is it's like, I get that conceptually. Right? But when I sit down at my computer or my journal and I try to write out my mission statement and all the things that could potentially go wrong and all the, it starts to swirl for me. I think most people that find themselves as business owners, we're not the analytical operations people. We're the, let's go build the plane as we are falling down to the ground. We're like, let's just figure it out. And so this bodes well for you guys because this is exactly what you do for people.
Exactly.
And so it's not to say I just think people need this type of support in order to have the type of preparedness you're talking about to have the business breakthroughs that people want.
Right.
Well, and there's a reason that me and Andrew don't coach each other on our business. If there's a breakdown in our business, I don't go to Andrew and go, hey, Andrew, what's the breakdown here? Like we might at a surface level, but if there's like a serious breakdown, we go and talk to our people, our mentors, our coaches, and get it worked out that way, because we're too close to the problem, even though there's two of us, but left to our own devices. And what you're speaking to about the swirl, it's just going to be an echo chamber. And a lot of the time,
it is often.
People have an echo chamber in their head without even realizing it. And that's part of the breakdown inside of all of it. And that goes back to law of attraction is like, I mean, just to bring it all back is like, when you're attracting things, but it's all in your own head about what you're attracting, then how are you going to attract what you actually want when you say, hey, I want $1 million. And then all you hear ringing through your head is $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. And it's like, well, is that $1 million in assets, $1 million in revenue, $1 million in profit per year? Is that a $1 million property that you're then paying off for the next 30 years? Like, what is it that is $1 million?
Which goes back to our last episode, like in leadership, clarity about where you want to go. Clarity and where you want to go isn't mean like, I want $1 million. Clarity and where you want to go is like getting clear about what the number really is, but also why do you want that number? Like, what is that number attached to? I mean, this is just an example, but I mean, this is the kind of stuff where I feel like I like the law of attraction, by the way. I'll just, for the record.
I do too.
Yeah, me too.
But I think people have tried it, right? And they're like, yeah, I mean, I kind of did it, but it didn't work. And I think part of the reason it didn't work was because people get in that echo chamber. They're not clear, and there's stuff missing to how they're doing it.
Yeah.
Alternatively, they believe that they have done it and then keep trying it, not realizing that they're doing their own interpretation of it. And then seeing that it's not working and blame themselves for not being good enough at it.
Yeah. Well, I would just say, so you look at like Tiger Woods, right? He wanted to be the best golfer ever. And to a large degree, for a long stretch, he was the best golfer in the game, hands down.
Right.
But he stood in that he was the best golfer ever. He said, I'm the best golfer. I'm the best golfer. I'm the best golfer. At the same time, he had a backswing coach and a foreswing coach and a full swing coach and a putting coach and all these things, because he, by standing in that he was the best golfer ever, he actually had to get clear on what could go wrong, what could stop me. So he had somebody, a coach, somebody on the outside of him, consistently working with him on, hey, this little hitch right here that doesn't seem to be affecting you now could be a problem down the road. You want to work on it. Right. And so having that coach, because one of the things is like, we were noting the problem or the bankruptcy in this breakdown of the law of attraction, but there's also like looking at it from, you don't have to be bankrupt or broken to come to us and say, hey, I want your coaching. If you want to be the best, even if things are going well, get a coach, because we see things that are just outside your purview, and we can actually help prevent those breakdowns down the road by paying attention and having you be prepared for that future path you're setting up.
Also, the more that, how many times do you think Tiger Woods, while being coached, went, oh man, I'm doing that thing again?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, there's a level of frustration that comes with feeling like you're not able to affect the change that you want to, and kind of living that Groundhog's Day over and over and over and over. And part of the coach's job is to help transition you through that Groundhog's Day to the other side of it.
Right.
How does your guys, like, tell me for a second how, like, there's a lot of different coaching models and structures. Like, how do you guys coach people? Is it like a month to month?
Effectively. I'm actually being serious though, because it doesn't matter how we do it. Like, it actually really is not about how we want to do it, how we think we should do it. It's about what's going to work best for the person over there. Yeah. Because everyone has a different way. Some people do better once a week. Some people need once a month. Some people need daily. Whenever they have a breakdown, they give us a call. Some people need daily check-ins to get clear and crystallize their day and prioritize everything, because a lot of people who are business owners tend to run around like chickens with their head cut off.
What? Get out of here.
I mean, and it's not a judgment. It's not like, it's like just there's so much to always do that you can't see past the fires to be put out. And so being able to prioritize the things that also then are going to prevent future fires can be helpful. And that's kind of where we come in. So we're not attached to any particular style of coaching. Like,
so it sounds like you do custom stuff. Like you'll customize.
We're very customized for our clients' needs.
I think that feels good sometimes, because in coaching, if you know, people listening, I think people have tried coaches before. And I think a lot of times it can feel like you're a number in a cookie cutter process of coaching. Exactly. And I think what's cool about if your stuff is custom, that gives me a lot of peace of mind of just going, these guys are going to get to know me and what my needs are, who I am. They're going to see things about me that I think a lot of coaches just coach to the model they're coaching. You know what I mean? Right. So like, did you do the model? Did you do the thing? And they're not taking into account the genius of the client.
Well, and that's why one of my, I'm going to say like biggest bones to pick with some people in the coaching industry is when people learn someone else's model and then just copy it. And I'm like, why?
Right.
What are you doing? Like,
what are you accomplishing?
Yeah. Like what value are you trying to provide for people?
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why we are constantly learning, constantly absorbing new information.
Yeah.
Because for us, I never want to be in the spot where I have someone who's like, oh man, that just didn't work for me.
Right.
And because I actually take my promise to get people where they want to go very seriously.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it would feel like a huge betrayal for me of myself and my own values if I didn't help them get there in the most effective way they could. And I'm not attached to my style. I really am not. Andrew can attest to this. Like, I really don't care.
Yep.
But if it's going to be a 5-minute conversation, the style that you want to have the conversation, and you're going to walk away with it, versus a 3-hour conversation in my quote unquote natural style, I'd much rather have the 5-minute conversation. No offense.
Yeah, I actually, that reminds me, I tend to gravitate towards more like hour-long conversations where you can really get into the nitty-gritty.
Right. Me too.
But one of the probably one of the best coaching sessions I ever had was like 30 seconds long. And it was fantastic. Guy looks at me, he's like, I've got all these companies, and he draws like circles, like, this is me, these are all my companies, like, this is why I can't, like, this is why I'm struggling and I'm so overwhelmed and I never have any time. And I like looked at him and I was like, okay, cool. Have you ever considered this? And I drew one line with an extra circle, and he was like, no, what's that? And I was like, you separating yourself from the problem and actually figuring out what that circle does. And he's like, oh man, like literally like 2 years later now, or a year later, or however long it's been, he still is like, dude, remember that time that we had that coaching? And all I did was draw a line and another circle and was like, separate yourself out. And it was just like,
I think that speaks really well to just the process. When you guys understand people, even if you haven't have a ton of history, but you guys understand people. So in a short amount of time, I think you guys have this ability to read people and kind of dig in quickly. And I know that you guys do a process for people if they're kind of trying to consider not just next steps for themselves, but who's the right coach, who can help them. I know you guys do a process that's free. It's complimentary, right? Where you'll actually talk to them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Look, if we're not the right coach,
yeah,
we're actually fine with that, because our commitment is that everyone gets what they need.
Right.
Yeah.
And frankly, with however many billion people there are in the world right now,
yeah,
I'm sure that there's enough people who need coaching
Right.
that we're not attached to it being us.
Right.
If we're not going to be the highest use. And like, there's
Absolutely.
people who think that they want to work with us and find out that, oh, I actually want to transition careers or something. And we go, okay, cool. We know people who deal with that.
Right.
Let's go get you set up with them. Like,
Yep.
it doesn't matter to us.
But I think it all starts with a conversation. In order to really
Absolutely.
find out if there's a fit or not, it starts with a conversation. And if you guys listening to this have connected with Michael and Andrew in any way in terms of how they see the world, I think then it's an indication that it's worth a conversation. So guys, if people want to connect with you and have that conversation, where can they go?
They can go to myperfecthire.com. They'll be redirected to our website and be able to just shoot us a little contact and be like, hey, we should talk to you. And we'll go, yay, and hop on a phone call with you. And it'll be a great conversation. And at the end of it, you'll have at least some idea of what your next steps are and what you need to be doing.
You'll be moved forward in what you're looking for, regardless if it's with us or with somebody else.
Oh, that's awesome. I love the promise of that. That's great. All right. Well, guys, thanks for a great episode. Always juicy stuff. And until next time, take care.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Pleasure.